Hello and welcome to Perspectives, where we take a deep dive into the issues of the day and where we take a look at people's opinion on such issues. My name is Ruth Osime. At the heart of every marriage, especially within our culture, is a sacred promise. In Nigeria, marriage is more than a personal union. It's interwoven with family expectations, religious doctrines, and a legal system that upholds its sanctity. Today, we confront a difficult yet unspoken reality. Heterosexual marriages where one partner may be grappling with a sexual orientation that is neither disclosed nor acknowledged to their spouses. In Nigeria, where same-sex relationships are both legally banned and culturally condemned, those involved risk up to 14 years in prison. The weight of these legal and societal pressures make it incredibly difficult for individuals to openly explore or express same-sex orientation. So when such a revelation comes to light, it doesn't just shake the foundation of the marriage, it ripples through layers of personal trust, cultural expectations, and emotional stability. For some, the truth surfaces years into the union, altering everything. For others, it remains hidden under the pressure to appear normal. In the end, both parties carry a silent burden that no one else can see. We're heading for a short break, but stay with us because coming up immediately after now is the interaction proper with my distinguished guests, Dr. Memuna, Ben, and Leila. Perspectives will return in just a moment. Now let's get to meet our guests for the day, starting with Dr. Memuna Yusuf-Kadiri, popularly known as the Celebrity Shrink, a psychiatrist, mental health advocate, and coach. She is a global speaker and fellow of top institutions like Vital Voices and Aspen. Dr. Memuna champions mental wellness across schools, workplaces, and the media. We're also being joined by Dr. Ben Wayo, who is a public speaker, coach, and facilitator with more than 200 years of experience in leadership and personal development. He has trained individuals and organizations across sectors using storytelling and strategy to inspire growth, clarity, and purpose. And last but certainly not the least is Dr. Leila St. Matthew Daniels, an executive coach, leadership trainer, speaker, author, women's rights activist, and writer. She has organized various seminars and workshops for women empowerment in Nigeria and beyond. It's my utmost delight to welcome all three of you here. It's my utmost delight to welcome all three of you here on Perspectives. So let's start with Leila. Now, suppression, for instance, is a conflict that most victims or most people who are same-sex oriented actually suffer. So what emotional toll does it take when someone marries to hide their sexuality? And how does this truth usually surface? How do their partners typically react when they find out?
When someone marries in that kind of situation, the emotional toil is very, very heavy because it's, covered in deceit, in secrecy, in lies, in betrayal. And when you have so many negative emotions within you, it's very, very difficult to live with it. And most times it comes out as depression sometimes it comes out as being overwhelmed, because you see, not only are you overwhelmed with the situation around you, you are overwhelmed with the fact that you know that there is a secret that is going on in there. And eventually, the secret comes out. Do you understand? The secret comes out. How it comes out can be very devastating, even to the spouse. Can be very, very devastating. And in some cases, in most cases, the spouse does not know. Some people have said, won't somebody know about it before marriage?
It's good that you said that, because that drives me to my next question to Dr. Memuna. Yeah. Can someone truly live so closely with their partner, share a bed, raise kids, and never suspect they're hiding something this major? Or is it about denial and self-preservation?
I like the fact that we are ending you ended the question with denial or self-preservation. The truth is that you find out that in this this kind of marriage, I've sat with both sides before, whether it is homo, whether it is lesbianism, and of course, in a marriage where eventually one of them gets to know, and the person gets to know and is asking certain questions. Was that not good enough? Is my life all a lie? Or how did I miss all these signs that I never really suspected? Some people, it could be like love blinds us, or it's just a survival strategy.
It might not be denial. Coping mechanism.
A coping mechanism, like, okay, instinct. The truth is that we are gifted as humans with our instincts, our inner way of knowing that something is going wrong. It's not for you to know whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. But somehow, somebody you've been with is a different thing in dating. You may never get to know. But right now, under the same roof, with same person, who you wake up with, who you interact with, who, maybe a child or children are already involved in this marriage. Something may be telling you there's something wrong somewhere. It's now you, finding out what is that change. Is it a good change or a bad change? Because denial, sometimes a lot of the lives, I say, some people see it as a survival strategy. Not necessarily, love is blinding them. So those signs, it depends. It's an interplay. It's complicated. It's complex. Because truly, I've sat down with somebody 7 good years, and she said she never one day suspected. But there was one thing she now eventually said, it never really has male friends. Even in the office, all his friends have always been men, and they go on trips together. And for me, I felt secure that it's not cheating.
It's good that you mentioned that, because you remember we were saying something outside the other time. And as weird as this question sounds, I have to ask it as a follow-up question. Yeah. For women, we're inherently jealous and possessive. Okay, so a woman in this situation who finds out that her husband is gay and her husband is having affairs outside, or a man who finds out that his wife is gay and having affairs outside, would the straight person rather have the gay partner have affairs with the same sex? As weird as it sounds, some women prefer that instead of the man having normal straight affairs with other women. So women may because women, a lot of times, we're jealous of our other women. The woman is coming to take over. The woman is coming to, maybe all the things she's doing. Some may not. So because it's a decision. Territorial enough to say, it's better to have affairs with other men.
And it's a decision that the person we have to come with at that point to know, am I going to stay for him to do this, or am I going to? So it's option. You choose that option. Okay, let's get to leave. Let's get to Dr. Wayo in the house. Wayo, so good to see you. Okay, let me ask you something. As you can hear, I'm sure you've heard some of the discussions we have had. Why is male homosexuality judged far more harshly than lesbianism in Nigerian society? I've always wondered about that.
Well, I don't think, thank you very much for the question and for inviting me. But I don't think it's judged not just in Nigerian society. I think it's a part of almost every society. There is a pressure for men to perform and a greater pressure for women to conform. So men are usually more under the pressure to perform and women to conform. A man should look a certain way. He should not cry. He should be strong. He should be able to tame a woman. He should be able to earn a certain amount of money. He should be able to do this and that. He should have this look. So that performance, so to speak, puts him under a great amount of pressure. And then, of course, it also informs the way society views him, the way his wife, his friends, his family, and so on and so forth. So everybody looks at gay homosexuality different from lesbianism or even bisexual and so on and so forth. Because the man is held like the king, the beginning, the head, the very top. So it's a little bit different, so to speak. It's the way society sees people, it's the way culture sees people, and it cuts across almost every single culture and sphere across the world. And that's my own opinion. Okay, so let's get back to Leila. Thank you so much, Dr. Ben, for that. Leila, let me ask another question. For deeply religious individuals who are also grappling with their sexual identity,
How does that unresolved conflict affect their mental health?
It affects them deeply because it's two different things. They have to pretend that they understand, they are religious and everything, but then their emotional side is grappling totally with it. And it causes so much confusion, deep, deep, deep confusion. And the thing there is that most of them will not even talk to their pastors or their faith-based leaders about it, because like Dr. Ben said, it's all wrapped up in the image that a culture puts on men, being the head of the household, strong alpha males. How can it be that you are taking the other way? So they have to keep that whole thing going. One of the ladies that I worked with some years back, she was devastated, and they were both Christians, real Christians.
Okay, they found out her husband was gay.
Yes, and she didn't find out on time. She didn't find out on time. It is possible not to know, actually, because there, you know, anything that is secret or deceptive, the people have a way of putting on. They are like two in one. Putting on a strong facade. It's like narcissists. You won't know until a certain point.
Yeah, but are pastors supposed to, I mean, everybody's supposed to be equal in the eyes of God. So really, is it right or wrong for a pastor to accept?
Well, the thing is for the pastor or the faith-based leader to even know in the first instance.
No, but what if he does know? Because
what if he does know? He will say, let us pray about it.
Because
and you cannot pray certain things away.
No, because I spoke to a homosexual person. You know, I didn't see him, we just spoke on the phone. And that was one of the questions I asked. And he said that his pastor knows that he's gay.
Yeah.
But his pastor doesn't judge him.
No, the thing is not to judge. Look, everybody is made, we are made to believe everybody is made in the image of God. Everybody is created by God. Now, the fact that some derail from the norm of what is supposed to be does not mean we should, you know, cast them aside and be judgmental. Because that's where empathy and compassion comes in. And you just have to try your best to see how you can assist them, either to accept what they find themselves in, because sometimes they are not even aware. It's not that somebody gets up and says, I want to be gay, I want to be a homosexual, I want to be a lesbian. The thing starts coming from somewhere, whether generational, whether nurturing background or something. So the thing is love and compassion, understanding, to try to get them to either accept who they are, or if they want to get out of it, help them. It's a long haul.
Okay, but now that you say that, because of course, there's the underlying factor. It is illegal in our society. Whether we like it or not, it's actually, that plays a very prominent role in the mode of acceptance. Exactly. So speaking of that, in families that value tradition and appearance, for instance, what's the healthiest way for parents to respond when their child comes out? What's their first instinct, and what would you advise them?
When your child comes out, it trusts you enough. That honesty. And I totally want parents out there, because I'm also a parent, to understand that don't treat that honesty with silence or shame. And I need to tell parents out there, if this will make you feel good, your parenting style is not what made your child become homosexual or a lesbian, if that will make you feel good. Because we have seen that the reason why people become homosexual or lesbian is an interplay, genetic, biological, your nurturing environment. In fact, there are 2 studies that actually shows strong genetic predisposition. Yes, strong genetic. I will tell you.
That's very fascinating.
Yeah, identical twins are more likely to be homosexual.
Really?
Yes. Identical twins are more likely to be homosexual. Now, let me not tell you the one that it's genetics. Studies have shown. Let me not tell you the one that will blow our minds. There's what they call fraternal birth order effect. It means that for younger men that have a lot of elder brothers
Yes.
before them, they are likely to be homosexuals.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the link then?
It's all studies showing that they start
interplay
interplay, from that family, and I think they said something about the mother's immune system or something, immune response.
So you're saying that this same-sex orientation is more biological?
It's an interplay, biology, emotional, generation, a lot.
Everything.
So you can't say it is one thing. So if parents need to know that, so when your child comes up, please don't treat that honesty with shame or silence. Pause. Breathe. If you cannot build a mansion of sanity or of peace, please hang a curtain of sanity.
Yes.
Start with that. So that you'll be able to condone that your child has seen you as a safety net. So it's coming to you. And LGBTQ, homosexual, whatever, they are 3 times more likely to have risky behavior, they are 8 times more likely to be suicidal, and they are 50% likely to be depressed. All these things are already there. So if your child comes out, breathe, pause, breathe, and listen, not judgmentally, to understand where that child is coming from, rather than listening to respond.
Okay, even after you've done all of that, what do you now do on the long term? On the long term,
love them regardless.
Regardless.
Build that culture of compassion. Your child, see, sexual orientation is not a choice. It's one of the myths that we are talking about. It's not something that somebody does jump up and say, yes, I want to be. No. It's a myth. It's not a choice. It's not that some people are already blind or whatever, casted, or they are doomed to be certain way. So when your child comes to you, respect that. Then you now talk to the child in a way and let the child know that I love you regardless. I'm not going to throw you away. I'm not going to kill, but let it be that see me as a safe space, so come to me and talk to me. It is difficult. It's not as easy as I'm saying. No. I know people fasting and praying. They'll go to the mountain. They'll do 40 days, dry fast, everything. Want to cast and bind it away. Trust me, parents, it may seem as if you can cast and bind it away. It's difficult. Sexual orientation is totally different from gender identity. They're 2 different things. With your sexual orientation, it is who you attracted to rather. It's like who you go to bed with. Your gender identity is who you are. So you can be cisgender, your gender as of the time of birth, you are still retaining it, or you are transgender, your gender now is different from your time of birth. But orientation is homosexual, heterosexual, bisexual, asexual, pansexual. There are many of them. So there are 2 different things, and this is where, if you leave them to go, the society will mismanage them. And it may not go with you at the end of the day, because if anything happens, because you are going to be saying, why me? Why should it be now? You know the reputation I have in the society. You know the people that look after me. We are big. You cannot say this. You cannot say that. And this is where. And today is Saturday. Somebody is already getting married today, not because he wants to have that wife, but because the family is in that denial. And yes, they're putting him under pressure that he must marry, and he's marrying that girl for his family as against marrying that girl for himself.
That's interesting. Can you have Benjamin back in the house? That's very in-depth. So what kind of impacts?
Yes.
What kind of impacts do you think this kind of marriages have on children, especially when they grow up surrounded by silence, tension, or emotional disconnection between their parents? What kind of impact does it have on children in the long term?
Definitely, it would. Children being so sensitive, it would definitely have a great impact on them. One of the things I do is I coach, I train, and sometimes in coaching with executives and professionals, you find out that they are very great in the workplace, they may be killing it, but they go back home and they're depressed and they're not doing so well. Some have problems in performance, and when you are digging deeper and trying to find out, you now see that there are problems at home, and then some of these things begin to come out. So if someone has this level of secrecy at home and is hiding things, there's a gap, as it were, between that individual and his children. It could be with his wife, of course, and then but his children. And then the thing about children is that if they are much younger, they really don't understand what is happening, but the trauma is just aloneness. They feel like they are not seen, or there's something strange about the relationship. And then if it comes out and it's public, now if they are young enough, if they are old enough to understand it, they feel a great amount of shame, a lot of confusion, a lot of concern for themselves, for their personal safety. In fact, they may even question whether or not they are the children of their father. And they may even wonder whether it is inherited, whether they also have that. So there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of shame attached to it. If they're much younger, there will just be gaps, there will be aloneness, there will be some sort of trauma. So there's definitely an effect on the children, and it can mar them and scar them for life, which is one of the reasons why one should think very, very carefully about having such relationships and actually having children, because it doesn't just affect you as an individual, it affects the offspring that come from you.
Okay, that's interesting. So let's get back to Auntie Leila. Thank you for that, Dr. Ben. When the heterosexual partner is reduced to sexual frustration and they now decide that they want to step out, they have agreed to stay in the marriage, but obviously, as my partner, you cannot give me what I want sexually. And then either he or she now decides to step out, especially for the woman.
For the woman.
How feasible is it for the guy to turn the other cheek, knowing fully well that he cannot satisfy his wife sexually, and the wife has now gone out, but she has decided to stay in the marriage, but she needs to go out, or she goes out to seek emotional and sexual satisfaction? How realistic is it for the man?
You know, we are emotional beings. And sometimes we think we can accept certain things. We convince ourselves that we can accept certain things. But most times in this kind of situation you've just explained, it's not sustainable over a period of time.
Why shouldn't it be?
Because, you see, human beings, we're talking about the woman now, right?
Yes, the woman steps out.
The woman steps out. Human beings are made with a bit of a selfish trait in them. The man, although he may not be able to satisfy her, still has to deal with the emotions of her going out, knowing that she is going out to go and meet somebody or go and satisfy herself. After some time, it's not sustainable. Some may be able to, but majority, it begins to, the toll in the marriage, you find confusion, you find anger, you find
even jealousy.
Jealousy, you find now they begin to get at one another. At the end of the day, unless there is a strong factor that is holding them in, which may be financial or maybe the children, you understand, you just have to accept it. But you see, the name of the game in that kind of thing is thou shalt not be caught. The thing is, you know, the more you must have.
Yeah, but I'm sure even if the wife steps out, she's not going to go out there and make it so obvious.
Yes,
she will at least be discreet about it.
There's this,
of a particular case, she got to know, and the guy.
Who got to know?
The
man got to know about the woman.
The woman got to know about the man's whatever, and the
man's
bargain
sexual preference.
Yeah, and the bargain there is that, look, you know what, you can even go out and get pregnant and even come in with the children.
Really?
That's
And I'm not talking about Caucasian, I'm talking about here in Nigeria.
That is why sometimes it depends on the
Life is
that question you've just asked. It all depends on the two of them.
Yeah.
If they agree, absolutely and totally. But if it is something that, well, I'll just have to accept it because I'm not satisfying you, it's going to backlash on the man. After some time, he's going to begin to take it out on her, and then she will react, and eventually conflict ensues. But like Dr. Moimuna says, if they agree, and it's an agreed reason, and there's a reason why they agree, then everybody must keep to their bargaining. And the children, I've known of those ones, especially when they have erectile dysfunction. It is even erectile dysfunction.
Some gay people actually find the thought of sleeping with the opposite sex repulsive.
Even a person that is not gay, that has erectile dysfunction, will come to an agreement with the woman. You go do your stuff.
Yeah, but that's another matter entirely.
No, what I'm saying
this
is...
one is purely homosexual,
yes,
purely
this
lesbian.
is... So the same factor can come in. They agree. The most important thing is the agreement.
Well, sometimes some of these agreements can be broken.
That
it's
is
easy
it
to
now.
agree verbally. When
That's what I
emotions now
said.
come into play.
Emotions come to play, and then something happens.
Let me ask you, Dr. Memina. Have you seen cases where partner, the male or female partner that is straight, uses this orientation as a blackmail, as a weapon.
Emotional blackmail, very well.
Financial blackmail.
So financial blackmail, legal manipulation, you know, and you know, these things bring a lot of fear and anxiety and shame, and you know, we are a society that we are quick to judge, and we are quick to say, or what will people say, as against letting concern about what people will feel and how people feel. So I give you one of the cases, because I've seen so many, so overwhelming. And the man moves out. They already have 3 kids. He moves out and say, stay in the house where everybody already knows us. They're not, these are people that were not young. They're in her 50s, he's in his 60s. And their kids are already in their 20s, so they're not even dealing with babies. Stay in this house where everybody already knows us and moving to another house. And he moved in his 60s to a younger lover who is in his 20s.
Are you serious?
And, you know, this now like, so you want me to deal with this whole thing while you are with somebody else? The children started fighting this younger boy, believing that he's taking their father away from them.
Like a woman.
Like a woman. And how did they end up in therapy? Is one of the kids that said, we all need family therapy. And, you know,
so the man now said living openly.
Yes, openly. And said, I want to finally stay in myself, because, you know, society and pressure and religion and culture made me to marry in the first place. I've been living in secrecy. Look, how many years do I need to live again in this life? I'm over 60, so stay in the house and whatever. I'm not talking about one poor, wretched person, right? And look, I want to now be myself. And that caused an uproar. And the thing now is that, will the woman want to come out and say it openly? The shame, people know that will not lead to a social isolation, and that's what people say about me, because she was also a high-profile person in the society. So she'll be judged, she'll be misunderstood, and they're going to bash her with, how didn't you know all these years that this man is...
They'll make it her fault.
They make it her fault. And that was, she had anxiety, she was depressed. Meanwhile, she was only living with hypertension. This man was living in his best life. The children were fighting this younger boy and throwing him out of the house. So it was chaos. The family dynamic was messy. And like that's what Dr. Ben said, the trauma children go through. And we must understand that half of all mental illnesses start before the age of 14 and two-thirds before the age of 24. So you may never see all this anxiety, depression, substance abuse, or schizophrenia till later.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Ben. Speaking of which, you know, as Dr. Marina said, what can the act of staying just to protect children or social status further morph into? At what's the price that you pay if you insist that you want to stay in that union? And then also, the younger generation, whether we like it or not, they don't frown upon same-sex relationships as much as the older generation do. So without condoning or condemning the act itself, how do we find a balance?
Well, first of all, for the first question, please come again with the first question, because the second
I said, you know, some people decide to marry. That the act of staying in a union comes at a great
act of
price.
Staying because of pressure.
Because of the children and because of pressure, just like Dr. Mimuna said. And I also further went on to ask that whether we like it or not, our generation, especially here in the studio, are less tolerant of same-sex relationships than the younger generation. As far as they're concerned, they don't see what the big deal is. So in a society that there's a conflict of belief between one generation and the other, how is a balance found, for instance? Like this man, for instance, that Dr. Memina spoke, was daring enough to go out there and actually live with his male partner. So my point is, how do you find a balance?
Yes.
What's the middle ground?
Well, the truth, first of all, if you actually maintain those relationships, if you continue to pretend, you continue to hide in such relationships, the consequences are similar to what you're seeing in the story that has just been told. That sometime down the line, some way down the line, there is the chance that you're going to say, I'm tired of all this. I have been satisfying everybody else. I want to be myself. This is one of the reasons why, like Dr. Mimuna said,
not that many people are that bold.
The depression rates are...
I said, not that many people
of
are
course,
bold.
that's another matter, because this person, yes, most likely because of the fact that the person is very powerful, he's rich, he's connected, he can actually come out, and he's not even going to do that as publicly as possible. There's a certain level to which he can actually do it before somebody comes after him with the law and so on. But if somebody is poorer, someone doesn't have the kind of resources or the connections or the network that this person has, they may still hide around. People may just keep a blind eye to it. You may notice that something is wrong, but the fact is, everybody around in the relationship is being traumatized because people are living lies. You can't live a lie and achieve greatness in a family. It's not possible. So some of the things that, even if the children can't voice it out, at the back of their minds, they're going to have something. If the wife can't voice it out, at the back of her mind, she believes that something is happening. So there's always something that is going to go wrong, and it's only a matter of time. It's like a ticking time bomb that will blow, only a matter of time. And how it does depends on the context, the dynamics, and who is talking, who is experiencing what. Now, striking a balance, particularly between the older and the younger generation, the studies continue to show that the acceptance rates are actually increasing. A long time ago, maybe as far back as 2015, when the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act was instituted, there were lower acceptance rates, and then now they are increasing gradually. And of course, we know that our younger population are actually far more in number compared to the older ones. So you actually, without thinking too much, you know that the acceptance rates are higher in the younger generation. However, the studies still continue to show that there is a high amount of rejection than acceptance. In fact, Nigeria is probably one of those countries among all the countries in the world where there is a very high amount of rejection of these acceptance, let me put it that way, of same-sex marriage, of lesbians, gays, and so on and so forth. So because of that, there is a reality in play that when people want something, most of the time they get it. When the mob wants something, they get it. When society, when culture wants something, they get it. And if an overwhelming majority of people feel that something is wrong, it is not going to be very young people that are going to change it and just say, okay, we like it, and so, you know, it's going to be different. And then more than that, the people that are involved, the children that are involved in those relationships, are going to be affected far more significantly than somebody that is outside, looking from the outside. Because what they are going through, what they are experiencing, the trauma they are experiencing, the shame they are experiencing, the confusion they are experiencing, can only be imagined by someone outside. You can be talking about it on TV, but they are living it every day. So there's no easy answer to this, and really there is no, there's no easy solution, as it were. It's as if you could say every case determines what happens eventually, but being compassionate, being forthright, being sincere, coming out openly to talk about the things that, being able to confront, let me not say coming out openly, because that's even a very hard thing to do, but being able to confront something instead of hiding it brings us closer. Being able to have these discussions brings us closer to having solutions. Okay. Because I mean, sometimes there was something that was said earlier that Dr. Maimuna mentioned sexual orientation and the difference between sexual orientation and sexual identity or gender identity. Sometimes you actually have sexual confusion that comes from abuse, that comes from these issues that happen. Maybe somebody was young and they were abused by somebody that has the same sex. And because of that, they are confused about their sexual orientation. They may think that they are gay, but they may not be because of the occurrence of what happens. So because of that, you see, when you look at studies after studies, you look at context after context, you can't give a one-size-fit-all answer to this thing. You have to be able to look at individuals. But if you are able to come out and have those conversations, if you're able to show compassion to people because they are human beings and they deserve so, we come closer to actually striking a balance.
Okay, thank you so much for that detailed explanation. But we're going for a break right now, and we'll be right back soon on Perspectives. Grab a cup of tea, as I always say, and see you soon. Welcome back to Perspectives. Now, Sis Leila, let me ask you, you know, some people decide to marry knowing that knowing that there's a sort of thing called lavender marriages. First and foremost, have you ever heard of lavender marriages?
Yes, I've heard of it, yes.
Okay. Lavender marriages, as you know, is when two gay people decide to come together. Do you understand? To create a union. You know. So I don't know whether any of you have ever heard of any of such situations. Have you? Have both of you heard?
But not
so what's the long term?
But two gay people coming together to decide for whatever reason, and sometimes, like she said, it may be family orientated. They are said to, fulfill all righteousness. They know, and sometimes the parents know and put them into it. But coming back there, it's
what's the long term?
It's the long term. The long term. It's not sustainable. You understand?
Oh, you agree it's not sustainable?
It's not sustainable
Why
at
so?
all. Even with mutual consent, the pressure on them to keep up that facade, whereby they pretend to be a couple, but they are going out separately. It's you see, what I keep repeating, whatever you're doing in secrecy actually works negatively
it's funny that
on
you say that, because the truth of the matter is that even straight couples, sometimes straight relationships, they do exactly the same thing. They barely touch each other in the house. They're just flatmates.
Yeah, but the
and
thing
each one
is,
goes out to look for their own
psychology. You
thing.
ask me how sustainable. When I'm talking about this kind of thing, it's not only the physical sustainability, it's the emotional sustainability, the spiritual sustainability, and eventually those three areas, they grate against one another depending on what their values are. Do you understand? Depending on their values, depending on the society, it's easier abroad. But here you have gay bars, you have gay this, you have gay that. But here it's undercover.
I know.
They do everything undercover. But it's not, but if they have a good relationship, you see, it comes down to understanding. If they have a good relationship, because when we're talking about it, some people may knock off their nose and say, what are these people talking about? We are talking about human beings. Human beings that sometimes they are not in control of what happened to them. So many things happen to them. So they've tried to live their own truth, not the truth of somebody else. So sometimes it's sustainable. They are able to understand themselves, especially if they are friends and they can communicate. It's when children come into that lavender situation that it could cause a lot of problems, because they have to be able to explain to the children.
But they need to explain to the children.
You do need to communicate. No, children, they get to know.
Inevitably that, when daddy goes outside.
No. Children are more perceptive than that.
Become young person.
And
Maybe as adults, yes.
Yeah.
And then the home base is energy field. They will know, but they might not be able to articulate it at a certain point.
I think parental confusion, dynamics here.
Yes.
We bring
But my
confusion.
point is that, as much as people are saying what you're saying, and I can understand where you're coming from, but there are actually normal relationships that live like this.
Yes, you're
the
right.
Man and woman are
That
close
lack
friends,
but
they are not lovers anymore. They're just
cohabiting.
They're cohabiting.
But let me tell you that the children, no matter how they seem to take it, it affects them psychologically, because I've dealt with grown-up.
Okay, so you're saying whether they're straight or gay.
Yes,
the fact that
children,
there's no
they know.
physical or emotional
They
connection
can tell it.
between
And
the parents.
a home that lacks certain kind of love, you may think you are doing it. Like she said earlier on, at the end of the day, when we are talking about parents who accept that their children are not the norm, most of the time, the parent is looking at herself or himself. How does it concern me? But when you take yourself out of it and know that it's not your fault, it's not a parental defect, something happened, you don't know what, you then begin to show compassion and pull them in. You don't know what you can do about that.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Memuna, because we're almost pressed for time. There are those, remember Dr. Ben was saying that there are some who are sexually confused, in the sense that they were abused in their youth or as children or whatever, and till date, they are not sure where they really stand. So I want to ask, as a doctor, can this transcend to their adulthood, whereby they now have same-sex relationships out of shared desperation or out of financial needs? And when they do this, do they always feel guilt after? What does this do to their mental health?
Survival choices, right, should not be seen as if you are bad, you are broken, or you are making those choices for for whatever it is. They are survival choices for you. Not all marriages are based on love. Some are bargaining chips, safety
No, I'm
net.
talking about those ones that actually go out of their way to have this same
sex
liaisons.
Yeah.
So for financial reasons.
financial
and then
gain.
they hate themselves after.
So with time, the truth is that it's now that sexual
Especially when you don't
confusion.
accept that you are that way inclined.
Exactly.
Self-denial.
Yes, because that is not who you are.
you are.
So confusion sets in, identity crisis sets in. There's something we call identity versus role diffusion, which is something that you develop in your teenage age in the psychosocial model, right? So if you even miss that in your teenage age, and now you are even grown and you are married, and now this confusion, the truth is that on the long term, anxiety peaks because you are doing something that is not aligning with your values, with your being.
It's a conflict.
It's a conflict, yes. So anxiety sets in, and if you're a woman, you are twice more likely to be depressed than the general population. So that also sets in.
If you're a lesbian, a woman who partakes in lesbianism.
Yeah, women generally. So we, the three women here now, we are twice more likely to be depressed than the men.
If you are lesbians.
No, even if you are not generally.
Oh, generally.
Generally.
Okay.
Not to talk about if you are. You know, I ruled out the facts about LGBTQ, whatever. 3 times more likely to have risky behavior, 8 times likely to be to have anxiety, and they are 50% more likely to be depressed. So that confusion, that gender identity fragmentation, emotional, overwhelmed. Some of them may come, they can have anger, shame, and on the long time, some of them will come down with what we call post-traumatic stress disorders, manifestation of that, because it's not who you are. Because the truth is that a cisgender with your gender that aligns with the way you were born, you are now a homosexual. Or a lesbian. Do you understand? It's a conflict.
Totally.
You are not like you are a transgender or one of those other, but you are who you are, say you are, but you are not the other way. And which we do see from so that confusion, that shame, that anxiety, that depression, sometimes even physiological manifestation, not sleeping well, it's a whole lot, because you are trying to ask yourself, who am my identity?
Let me get Dr. Ben in the house for this. Now, Dr. Ben, you've heard what the ladies in the house have said about the emotional cost of trying to live your truth. Do you understand? But the truth is, there are people who live this truth, whether we like it or not, in our society, especially in the entertainment sector, in the arts sector, in the culture. So when they live like this, how does this affect their trust in people? How do they protect themselves to ensure that they don't get attacked or maligned in a society that doesn't condone them? Because there's some who actually, you see them, they are gay. So how do they manage when it comes to trust and safety?
Yes, that's true.
More importantly, safety. How do they manage?
So the society has a way of human beings have a way of coping. Human beings are extremely intelligent, extremely resilient. Even the so-called dullest person you can see in the room has a very powerful way of dealing with issues and being able to accommodate things and deal with crisis, trauma, etc. We're very resilient, and we have ways of being able to do all kinds of things. I mean, people say you can't hide for a long time, but hiding is a part of human beings. We can hide even on live cameras. We have a personality that can allow us to just show what we need to show, no matter how long it takes, because we are resilient, we are intelligent, we are resourceful. So, you see, long before colonialism, long before Christianity, all the cultures in Nigeria, whether you're talking of up north, south, east, etc., had cases. You could find people that were somewhat either gay or lesbians and so on. You could see that in society. There are even names for them in the languages. And there is a way society perceived those people. They had a threshold for tolerance. Most of the time, the threshold is where you can just quietly be who you want to be. Don't bring it to our face. That has generally been the threshold here. Some people don't tolerate it. Some would, perform the death sentence on you, depending on the religion, the region, etc., and so on. Some will take you to court, some will just condemn you, throw you out, and so on. But generally, society has a way of, okay, this is what I'm concerned about. Just don't put this in my face. So the problem usually is when people are saying, I want to be like everybody else. I'm tired of just hiding. I don't want to be underground. I just want to be on myself, just like everybody else. I want to be able to marry and show affection publicly for the people that I love, which is against the law in the country, which is against societal norms and so on. So that's where the confusion, or rather the contention, comes in. And people will act. That is the truth, because human beings are human beings. They will act. You can actually assume that, okay, acceptance rates have gone up so far, I can do what I want to do, but you go out there and you do something and you may lose your life. Someone came on live TV and said, I'm gay, and he's no longer in the country today. His life is in danger. So these things are reality, and the thing to do usually is that human beings actually have a threshold, and the threshold is, just don't put it in my face. Do it somewhere quietly, do it somewhere privately. Now, if you have something against that, which you should anyway, because you're a human being, everybody wants to be able to do what they want to do, live where they want to live, and so on. But you have to consider the facts. You have to look at the truth, what is happening, because I don't believe in relative truth. I believe in absolute truth. And I believe in dealing with facts. A man would hide that he is gay because he can lose his life, he can lose his connections, he can lose his business, because, I mean, why else shouldn't he hide? If his mother is putting him under pressure, his societal group is putting him under pressure, he's going to hide. If he can lose his life, he's going to hide. These are the facts of the matter. And we can debate about it and say all kinds of things, but people will have to deal with those facts every single day. So what should you do? You should, I think one of the first things that people need to always do is to be able to confront whatever it is that they're dealing with and find out the facts about the matter. I think whenever you sit down and we listen to conversations like this, you find out that you didn't know as much as you did. There are some myths that are there in place that you didn't understand, and then you can be better educated. And sometimes you may even discover about yourself what you thought is this, is not this, and so on. So it's a difficult conversation, but it can be dealt with as long as we are as open as we can be, and as tolerant as we can be, and as compassionate as we can be.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ben, for that. Let me ask you, Dr. Leila, I'm sure in the course of your work, you've had to obviously talk to one or two people who fall into this category. And then in therapy, how does someone begin to recover after years of living in denial? How do they now begin to either own their truths or adapt to society as...
Help them to own their truths. You've just said it. The fact there is to accept who you are, whatever it is that acceptance is. Like the borderline who did not want to but found themselves, and there is this cross identity crisis, you can actually help them to find who they really are.
But even if their truth is that this is what they are, then society does not condone it.
You have to...
What do you now advise them to do?
Well, Dr. Ben said something. Don't throw it into people's faces. Accept who you are, but realize that you are in a society that other people are there. And that is the rule of the game as human beings. The fact that this is what you like to do, you cannot throw it into people's faces. So the thing is to help them not to walk in confusion, in denial, in hate of themselves, guilt, shame,
because all this
and everything.
All this come with
yes, it's just to help them to understand that this is who you are as of now. So you have to accept it. Don't feel no guilt. Don't feel no shame. Don't feel anything. But curtail it. Watch what you do. Realize that you are a member of a bigger society. Know how you move, especially in this country. Know how you move. Know how you comport yourself and carry yourself. Like you said earlier, in the entertainment industry, it's a little bit easier to, but then still, lack of tolerance is there with the alpha males and everything. But it is my job or our job is to help them be at peace with themselves. They are human beings. They are wanting to be accepted and to become. And so we help them to understand who they are. I don't judge. I mean, I'm strong spiritually, but I don't judge, you understand? Because God, at the end of the day,
loves everybody equally. Okay, now speaking about owning your truth, and then about the spouses of people who are same-sex orientated, How does this affect the spouses in future, in case they leave the marriages or in case they break up the union? How does this affect their trust in the opposite sex over time because of where they're coming from?
Especially in trying to rebuild trust and trust within yourself and, of course, your future relationship. The first thing is that you have to trust yourself. You have to own your feelings. You have to heal. You have to believe in yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You know, trust in your belief, trust in your healing before you can trust. And don't rush to forgive. Focus on your feelings first. Focus, take that time. Yeah, because the truth is that people believe that when you go for therapy because you are having issues. People that go for therapy is because of people in their lives that have refused to go for therapy.
Okay, that's another angle.
It's because of people in their lives that refuse to go for therapy.
Especially if they say, there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with you.
The gaslighting, the manipulation and all that. So don't rush your healing. Give yourself grace to heal. Build trust within yourself first. Trust in yourself, because it's when you do that, you can operate from a place of abundance. And because it's not only going to help you now, it's also going to help you in your future relationship. Because broken people
break
other people
and hurt other
and
people.
Yes, and you know, when you are broken, when you are traumatized, you bleed on people that didn't hurt you, because hurt people hurt people. After effect. So you know, you don't have to agree, you don't have to believe, you don't have to, you know, look at this, your partner was a bad person. Sometimes you may even understand that their survivor, the betrayer was their own survival way of dealing with things. So as much as possible, focus on your healing. Focus on your feelings. Focus on growing and trusting before you can go about
Thank you so much. I wish I had more time to discuss this, but this has been a very, very riveting conversation for today's episode. Thank you so much, Dr. Ben Wayo. Thank you so much, Dr. Stephanie Kadiri. And thank you so much, Dr. Leila Said-Matthew Daniels, for this very eye-opening conversation. Now, for those directly affected, the choice between coming out or remaining silent, as you've heard, is deeply personal, but often fraught with risk. So both paths carry consequences. And in a society where realities are neither accepted legally nor culturally, the decision to toe that path must ultimately rest with the individual, with the full awareness of the potential impacts on themselves and those around them. If you have to live your truth, find a way to best live it that keeps you safe, most importantly. So that's all we have time for today. And remember, life is a learning curve. You've been watching Perspectives here on the Rise News with me, Ruth Osime. I shall be back here next week, God willing, to take on another issue of public importance. Until then, do stay safe and purposeful. Goodbye.